Welcome back. If you watched the last video, this should look pretty familiar. This is where I wrapped up last time. In real time, it's like 5 minutes later, but for you guys, it's probably been about a week or two, maybe three. I don't know. It depends on how quickly I get both of these edited and out because I am continuing filming without having edited anything yet. So I don't even know how the first one turned out yet. So if it was great, glad. If it sucked, sorry. But we're going to dive right into this. I haven't decided if I'm going to put the front end back on first or dive into the diff, drive shaft, and axles. Whatever you see next is what I decided, but I haven't decided yet. But I hope you guys enjoy this. I love this kind of stuff, like this quick turnaround projects, changing a car entirely, like manual swap kind of thing. So, but hopefully we will have it dialed in by the end of this video. But without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So before we get any further into this video while we're watching the time lapses here, I want to give you guys a introduction, or I guess an understanding of, hey, why are you putting all this time and effort into this not very clean 20 something year old Audi? Well, there's a pretty long story to this that starts back in, I don't know, 2016 with this guy right here. Who is this mystery man, you may find yourself wondering? Well, back in 2016, I was a sophomore in high school, and that is when I met Joe, the man who started it all. So throughout Joe and I's friendship, he's had a lot of B5s. I mean, the Hibiscus A4 he drove in high school, he's got a couple silver cars, Nagaro, Amola, Santorin, you name it, Laser, you name it. He's had one. But what really got me hooked was his silver, I think it might have been his first silver S4 is what really was like, ooh, I need to buy an Audi. And then I bought my B7 A4. That car was fun for a long time. I eventually had some issues with it. So I sold it and I bought a Mark 6 GTI, stage 2, blah, blah, blah. Basic intake, downpipe, tune. But those were fun cars. I learned a lot. Kind of got me ready. And then I think it was October of 2022, I bought my first B5. And like all good deals, it was clapped. But it was a fantastic deal. It's a full stage 3 car, 6-speed manual. So it's got Borg Warner KO4s, 52-pound injectors, SRM bipipes, intercoolers. It's got a stage 3 South Bend clutch, forged diverters, all the bits, bobs, and goodies, and it was tuned by Vast in 2011. So it's got all the goodies. Came on some Votlands, and it was sick. But it, as I said, was clapped. So I set out to unclap it. I bought a parts car that was the same color with some good paint, and every part that was rusty or didn't have any clear coat got replaced. I put the wheels from a GTI on it. It got new headlights, paint correction, some Brembos, new suspension, everything you could want. And then it's been fantastic. I drive it all over the place. I take it to shows, take it to meets, and beat the living snot out of it. It's fantastic. I love it. But that brings us to why I bought the Hibiscus. So before the deal came up for my black car, I had been looking at B5s for a while. I was trying to decide what I really wanted, whether that be manual, auto, if I was going to be picky about colors, mod lists, and stuff like that. And I came across this listing. Beautiful. The car looked so good. Stock, well looked after it seemed, but a rebuilt title for a theft and a couple other small things. And it being an auto kind of steered me away from it, in all honesty. I really wanted a manual after all of my other cars have been manuals, and I just prefer it. So I didn't buy the car at the time. And as you've seen, it's in a way worse shape now. So kind of wish I did. But I only feel like I got so into B5s as I did because the car I bought kind of gave me the full experience on the first one without me having to do much, because as I said, it came with big turbos and all the other stuff already. Okay, with all that history being said, why did I buy the car? Well, coming spring of this year, I was graduating college, and I was taking some time off after work, and I kind of was like, loosely looking for a project. Obviously, I had way too much going on at all times. I don't need another project, but just bought a house, had all this garage space. You got to fill the garage space with some projects, and then boom, it came back up for sale again. I mean, obviously, these cars are very rare. As you saw, the listing claims that this car is one of 43 with the color and interior option. So it was the same car. I knew immediately as soon as I saw the listing. And then, I saw the description of like rebuild title for a theft and stuff like that. I was like, I knew this was the one that got away last time. So I had to have it. I know it was rough. I probably overpaid um, for a stock B5 with as much damage as it has and the rust and the destroyed bumper, but I had to have it. It was kind of like that one that, I mean, that's my favorite interior, my favorite color, and they're rare, and they only made them for 1 year. And I don't know. It's just, I think I like that stuff. I think it's cool. The numbers behind it all. So when it came up, and it came up again for sale, and it was like 30 minutes from my house. So it was like, I have to buy it. With you up to date on my history of B5s and my history with the Hibiscus in particular, we can now dive back into finishing this manual swap. Now what you're seeing right here is I am shaving down the OEM central bearing, or the drive shaft bearing, the rubber bushing on it. You got to cut it down so that the JXB Performance, which it's a fantastic product, I just wish it wasn't so expensive, will fit over it. So that's what you see me here doing. Next on the chopping block is the rear differential out of the manual donor car. This thing was leaking like crazy, so I went ahead and replaced both of the axle cup, the bushings that go around the axle cups that go into the differential itself, and then cleaning it up as well, just because it was covered in old diff fluid. With it having been leaking, the next logical step was to do a complete fluid change because I didn't know how much was in it, nor did I know how many miles were on the fluid, so put some fresh diff fluid in the rear diff. With all that prep done, it was time to finally do the super fun process of putting the diff and drive shaft, while attached to each other, into the car by myself on the ground. It honestly did not take anywhere near as long as I was expecting. It probably took, 10 minutes to put the whole rear drivetrain in, which has got to be some kind of record for me. It was nice to find out after the fact. I actually didn't buy any new axles. I was just going to use the ones out of the other car, but these ones were in better shape, that the manual and auto axles are exactly the same. So I got to just leave them in, didn't have to pull them out, and just bolt the diff right up to them. Next, it was time to put the exhaust on. This catback, as well as the downpipes, is from the donor car that I got the manual swap from. This was surprisingly easy to put on with V-bands. I have V-bands on my black car, and they can be kind of a pain at times. This one, unfortunately, it looks like somebody welded together the slip joints at some point, so it's not fully attached in the far rear. because you don't have all the adjustability you normally would with it being free floating. So I wasn't able to get all of the exhaust mounts to line up. But I had way harder of a time getting the O2 plugs up to the bay than I did actually putting the exhaust on. All right, so as it sits, the car only needs a couple more small things, starting with I need to put coolant in it, put the bumper back on, put the headlights back on, and the rest of the exhaust, I think, is everything. Ooh, and a shifter alignment. But I mean, I drove it out of the garage the other day. Just wanted to do some cleaning, so drove it out of the garage. It's a couple days later since the last clip. But yeah, we're getting really close, so we're gonna jump back into wrenching on things and try and get it finished. All right, we are going to start with the shifter adjustment. Ooh, that's hot. What you got to do is there's a bolt down here in the back that I don't know if you guys can see down here, as well as this one right here, and you adjust them to get your shifter to a point where you can get to all the gears. So let's go ahead and do it. Now that we've got the car back in the garage, let's jump right into putting the rest of the front end back together. In this clip, you'll see me do a couple things other than putting the front end back together. The first one being putting a new pigtail on the coolant level sensor so that that can stop beeping at me. And the second thing is my N75 valve, or for those of you who don't know, the boost controller for these cars. I touched it and it exploded, so you'll see me replacing it with a new one here. Just like that, all back together. Ooh, need to plug in. Need to get that plug and plug that in, or it's not gonna run. Now we just have to reconnect this boost gauge line and fill it with coolant and power steering fluid. But I need to go buy some power steering fluid. But first, I have the stock headlights back on. These stock headlights are really clean, and the E-codes I have, I repaired the straps for the brackets, and they just never sat right. So I'm gonna run the stock ones until I suck it up and buy a set of E-codes. But just wanted to update you guys on why the stock headlights are back on. But I also wired in a new sensor plug for the coolant level, so that'll stop beeping at me. There wasn't one. It was just two wires twisted together. So not how it's supposed to be. But back to stock now. All right, so exhaust is on. That was miserable. I didn't film it because it's underneath and it's dark and it's a total pain. But the rearmost portion of the exhaust is on now. And I just got done bleeding the clutch. So the very next step is this thing. I realized is kind of low on oil. I didn't know that. It was making a bunch of rattling noise. Like it had been sitting dry for a while because I haven't driven it. And then I checked the oil and it's at the bottom of the dipstick. So we're gonna change the oil and then we're gonna put power steering fluid in. We're gonna bleed the coolant. So that's what's next. Alrighty, so as you saw, car is full of nothing but the best. Got a man filter, some liquid Molly gin from FCP. Best place if you work on Euro cars to buy absolutely anything. And then some, what the hell is it called? CHF 11S. It's supposed to be the best power steering fluid. It's fucking expensive though. Sorry, it's expensive. But yeah, apparently it's better for the rack, and doing a rack on these cars is a nightmare, so I don't really want to. So I went ahead and bought the expensive power steering fluid, even though I really didn't want to. I've got just a little over 6 quarts in it. Takes like 6.7, I think. So we'll run it and then check the oil. But for now, I'm gonna start it and put some coolant in. And just like that, it's done. Car is a manual. It's full of coolant, clutch works, full power steering fluid. What else? I think that's everything. But yeah, it's ready to drive. I mean, I have to put the it's got oil change. That's it. I gotta put the bumper on, but other than that, she's ready and ready for more mods, which I'm excited about. So the next video though will be about my black S4. I've got a lot of stuff coming up with that car, and it needs some love. Got some shows, track day, so that'll be exciting. Doing some mods of that car. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, remember to like it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video, and see you guys next time.